An 8th victim passes away as bail is set for the suspect in the Waukesha Parade car accident. Let's go with the same terminology that the mainstream media is using. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on there. In other news, Jen Psaki says that Biden was absolutely in the right to condemn hatred. And by hatred, she means Kyle Rittenhouse. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. An assemblyman in Buffalo, New York, introduces a bill to come out and say that, no, yes, healthcare isn't a human right. So we'll go over just a bit about that. And the Women's March apologizes for triggering use of the figure 1492. It's going to be all this and more. Let's go, Brandon. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and it's been another busy news day. We had one day of under 30 tabs to go, and we're right back up to it. So let's get through this here. First and foremost, before I get started, I do want to say that, yes, I have my laptop set up, ready to go. I will be leaving right after work today and going to my mom and dad's, but we will do Contemporary tomorrow too. So it's going to be, I'm going to consciously not do as much news as I usually do. If there's something really big, we're going to go over it, but I think I'm going to set it up into a call-in show like I did last year. I've got my headphones. I don't need to have the second webcam, so I've got the second webcam to feed the guest sitting in my laptop bag here. So the stream might be a little bit slow, a little bit jerky too. Unfortunately, that's what we have to go with on such short notice here. But, you know, as soon as we get Turns of Pages productions going up, we're actually going to start another fundraiser and see if we can't get me a new laptop so I can do some more traveling better. I know it's going to take some time, but we're going to see if we can't get me one of those as well. And we'll see what goes on with that. All right, but speaking of Turns of Pages, before we get started, guys, make sure you go check out turnsofpagesproductions.com. Something cool is coming soon. We will carry great shows such as the Daily Ignoramus, the Breakdown with Breckenhoff, the Porch Boys, the Freckles and Brit Show, and the R-Rated Conservative, who looks like he's going to be coming back here pretty soon. I got the DLive notification yesterday, a couple of them. I know he's not going to come back to YouTube, so adjust accordingly. And if you have to go back and check things back, I believe he's on Rumble for video upload. But I know he's not coming back to YouTube, so adjust that accordingly. Go check that out. Looks like he will be coming back, which tells me that the move has probably been successful, and he's probably in a much, much warmer place than I am at this point. So 3 cheers for the R-Rated Conservative. Go check him out, and go check out the website. Updates to come as to when we are going to see another fundraiser coming up for the website here. I am officially not accepting any more donations for the GoFundMe. We're done. I'm done with them. I am going to accept the money. I looked at the poll, and they said I can do it with a clean conscience enough, but I am going to accept the money that they have. I will get them. I'll let them have their little bit of blood money that they can use to go raise money for Darrell Brooks Jr. They're not going to use that because it's a violent crime. Bullshit, watch it. But I'll let them have the little bit of fees and everything that they can do with that, and we'll go find something else. So if anybody has any suggestions for a new and less grabbled situation, a less bad payment processor for doing something like that, let me know in the comments. Something that you've used before especially will help out, because I've only ever used GoFundMe, but I cannot, with a clean conscience, use them ever again. It was hard enough for me to come out and use them. Yes, I'm going to discard the media. My Instagram story already went off So we'll start a new one. We'll start a new live video on Instagram. Yeah, we're going to be using a different payment processor. So yeah, if you have one that you know of, if you have one that you've used before, let me know because yeah, we got to get something else done here. All right, with that, let's get into the finance for the morning here. Oh, got to back up to the front page. To the front page. There we go. No, to the front page, damn it. Professional. We're professional here. Starting in with the Dow. Let's actually get the live chat up so I can see you guys. On the Dow, 35,813.80 is what the Dow was looking like here this morning. That means it went up 194.5 points, or 0.55% yesterday. So there are a few things that are looking at that. I know that we're coming into a retail season that's been going on for quite a while, getting the Christmas gifts. It's not just all going to be on Black Friday anymore because we're all scared of the pandemic. So it'll be spread out a little bit further, and we're going to see some retail sales coming out of that. But as we look and as we go into the holiday season further, as we look further into some of the stuff, it actually looks like the Dow is going to fall. At least as far as the futures go, the day before we close for the rest of the weekend for the Thanksgiving holidays. So that's what we see coming out of that. Bitcoin took a little bit of a tumble overnight here, 56,494 US dollars. And it's kind of interesting to watch off of this. I mean, we see the tumble going in the last 24 hours and in the last 5 days as well, but it does appear that the biggest hit for Bitcoin seems to be when the government got involved with Bitcoin. It's amazing. The government fucks everything up. It's weird. But that's what we see coming off of that. Your industrials. Copper on the rise, steel on the rise, aluminum on the fall. Looking back at all your metal prices. Copper looks like everything with copper in it is on the way up right now, including brass and brass shells. For the first time in quite a while, BX steel has turned on the upswing. That's usually down where everything else with steel in it is going up. Our complete color has turned on the downswing though, down to $225 a ton. On aluminum, it looks like cans are on the downswing, sheet aluminum's on the downswing. Everything else for aluminum is on the upswing. On your other plays, electric motors are down, ballasts are up. Lead is down and car and truck batteries have gone down with them. Catalytic converters took a downswing for the first time in a very long time. So those prices are going down at the moment. So hey, maybe we'll see some slowing down of the car market too. Compressors are up, alternators are down, carbide is down, and all your computer plays are continuing to go up. Let's see what IBD has to say for the morning here. From Investors Business Daily. Dow Jones Futures fall as market direction turns murky. Tesla falls, 3 stocks in buy zones. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures fell slightly Monday morning along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures. The stock market rally continued its move away from techs and towards energy and financials on Tuesday. Tesla fell but held key support while other mega caps such as Apple barely budged. In overnight trade, HPQ stock and Pure Storage signaled breakouts on the earnings, but there were big losers too. After several weeks of a broad-based rally, the stock market has returned to sector rotation, its trickier environment for investors, especially for new buys. Software continues to get hammered. Asana and DigitalOcean extended Monday's big sell-off, while Snowflake skidded to its 50-day line. Tesla fell hard but paired losses Tuesday. Other mega caps have moved us back to the top of the screen. Is there a close button off of this? Did we get that grabbled, really? Yeah, there's no close button off of this. Well, let's refresh it, see what happens. Let's see. Tesla fell hard, but paired losses Tuesday. Other market caps were little changed. Microsoft fell slightly for a second straight session. Google parent Alphabet and Nvidia also edged lower, but Apple stock and Amazon edged higher. On the upside, energies were strong. Tuesday, as the crude oil price rose despite President Biden releasing strategic oil reserves to the market, with Pioneer Natural Resources among the shale names flashing buy signals. Financials rose again as Treasury yields continue to climb. Which is interesting because, according to what we've seen here, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, for the decision to release oil from the strategic reserves, they're going to release 2 days of oil from the strategic reserves. 2 days worth of oil. That's not going to change price. That's not going to do anything to the price. Plus, it's going to put us in a downside position if we do have to go into an emergency and use the strategic use of oil. We're not in a position where we need to use our strategic backup plan. We're still getting oil in. OPEC, yeah, they're being dicks, but that we're still getting oil in. And you know, there's that pipeline there that's already laid. Just turn the spigot back on, and we can solve a lot of this here. But hey, we don't have time for rational solutions. In after-hours earnings news, PC maker HP Incorporated rose and PSTG stock surged on earnings. HPQ and Pure Storage moved out of bases overnight, but Autodesk, Nordstrom, and Gap sold off 13% or more in pre-market trade. Retailers were big earners, movers in Tuesday's session, with Best Buy and Dick's plunging on earnings while Dollar Tree extended its recent run. Tesla, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, and Snowflake are on the IBD leaderboard. Apple and Pioneer Natural Resources are in swing trader. Microsoft and Google are IBD long-term leaders. Tesla, Google, Nvidia are on the IBD 50. Pioneer was IBD stock of the day. On the futures, Dow futures lost 0.3% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures retreated 0.3%, and NASDAQ 100 futures declined 0.3%. Tesla fell 1.5% in pre-market trade. Elon Musk sold another 934,000 Tesla shares on Tuesday, according to SEC filings overnight, bringing total sales to about $10 billion. Jeez. And how much did that actually devalue the company, too? Because it's not just like, okay, I have this that I can sell and it'll be liquid cash. If you start selling off more and more, the price goes down further and further, taking the value of Tesla to go with it. It's just like if you've got a bunch of houses that add to the market in a particular city. All at the same time, the housing market goes down too. The prices on those houses fall. Because it looks like it's not a place that people want to live, which it usually isn't. But apparently he's going to call the bluff on the World Hunger Organization and see what happens with that. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, investors will get weekly jobless claims. October durable goods orders were revised. Q3 GDP, new home sales data will be released at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. The past few days have showed relatively quiet action in Dow futures, and that didn't foreshadow the regular session divergence. So, that's what we see coming off of that. Let's grab one briefly from investing.com. Let's not, because we notice you're using an ad blocker. Piss off. Let's get into the big news of the day. Before we start, I want to release this. This is California's Thanksgiving guidelines, once again. Coming into the holiday tomorrow. If you live in California, well, you figure out what's best for your family. But California's Thanksgiving guidelines: no more than 3 households present. Parties no longer than 2 hours. Guests must stay outside. Avoid singing, chanting, and shouting. That's what I have to say to that. But Gary R. has the best answer to this here. I'm not serving Thanksgiving dinner. I'm holding a memorial service for my family's beloved pet turkey. There's no state limit on memorial service attendance. Dressing and cranberry sauce will be provided. Bravo! Bravo, my friend. Bravo. Starting the day with NBC 15. Madison CW. 8-year-old is the 6th person to die in Waukesha parade tragedy. Darrell Brooks appeared in court for the first time on Tuesday. This is from Julia Tornabene and Nick Viviani. An 8-year-old child has become the 6th person to die from injuries sustained when a vehicle plowed through a Waukesha Christmas parade on Sunday. Persecutors revealed Tuesday that the man is accused of killing them appeared in court for the first time. Jackson Sparks, age 8, passed away Tuesday, according to a post from Leibt Church on Facebook and update shared on GoFundMe fundraiser. He was walking in the parade along with his brother, who is still hospitalized, and the other 5 people who were killed were adults. This afternoon, our dear Jackson has sadly succumbed to his injuries and passed away, the page's organizer, Alyssa Elbro, wrote. In an update Tuesday night, Children's Wisconsin shared its deepest sympathy and sorrow that the child had died from injuries sustained during the parade. Jackson was one of the 16 children admitted to Milwaukee Hospital. Following the incident, 6 are currently listed in critical condition, 3 are in fair condition, and 4 are in good condition. Children's noted 2 families were able to take their children home on Monday, where they will continue to recover. The hospital has created a mental and behavioral health helpline for families looking for additional support. You can call 414-266-6500. Prosecutors plan to file 6 first-degree intentional homicide charge against Darrell Brooks Jr., the driver of the vehicle that raced into the parade crowd. He already faces 5 homicide charges in connection with the other deaths stemming from the tragedy. Brooks appeared in a Waukesha County courtroom for the first time Tuesday to face those initial charges. He could be heard crying during the proceeding, leaning over with his head nearly in his lap, with his attorney resting his hand on his back. First-degree intentional can carry the stiffest penalty possible under Wisconsin law, mandatory life in prison. Brooks's bail was set at $5 million. He will likely appear in court next on January 14th, 2022. The other lesser charges were also expected to be filed against Brooks related to more than 60 additional people who were injured when an SUV barreled through the parade route at a high speed, sending people flying through the air. Waukesha Police Chief Dan Thompson said Brooks, 39, was leaving the scene of a domestic dispute that had taken place just minutes earlier when he drove into the parade route. Thompson, the police chief, said there was no evidence the bloodshed on Sunday was a terrorist attack. Okay. Or that Brooks knew anyone in the parade. Brooks acted alone, the chief said. Brooks had left the site of the domestic disturbance before officers arrived and was not being chased by police at the time of the crash, according to the chief, who gave no further details in the dispute. NBC News published doorbell camera footage that appeared to capture Brooks' arrest. It showed Brooks shivering in just a t-shirt, knocking on a homeowner's door and asking for help, calling for a ride. Moments later, police surrounded the house and shouted, "Hands up!" Brooks, standing on the porch, held his hands up and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Hundreds gathered in a downtown park Monday night in Waukesha for a candlelit vigil. In honor of those lost and hurt, a pair of clergy solemnly read the names of those who died. Volunteers handed out sandwiches, hot chocolate, and candles at the vigil, which was attended by interfaith leaders and elected officials. A lot of stuff moving along here, a lot of stuff going on with this. And we're going to break down a few of these events in a little bit more detail as we go, starting with the city trucks lined up, blocking the highway to the community vigil. There are the 18, ages 3 to 16 years old, 3 sets of siblings, facial abrasions, broken bones, head injuries, some in surgery last night and tonight, 10 are intensive care, 6 critical, 3 serious, 1 fair. And there, a good use of government. There aren't many, but there is a good use of government right there. Except they bought Freightliner. But yeah, good use of government. Block off the roads so everybody can... I mean, nobody's going to race a car through this. There's some vigil footage. And a few people, it's a bit late. Fuck off. Nobody could ever expect something like this to happen. Which is why it happened so easily. Nobody could expect something like this. I don't know why my DMs are open either. From the Blaze, ring camera footage appears to show Waukesha mass killing suspect Gerald Brooks' bizarre behavior asking for help outside a resident's home 20 minutes after the attack. From Sarah Taylor. Home surveillance footage captured the moment which Waukesha Christmas parade mass killing suspect Gerald Brooks approached an area home and asked its residents for help. Video obtained by NBC News showed what appears to be the suspect approaching the Waukesha resident's home and telling him he was waiting for an Uber. The video captured on Sunday showed the suspect pleading with the resident for help and asking if the resident could call Uber for him. Daniel Ryder shared the footage, which showed Brooks wearing just a t-shirt knocking on Ryder's front door. Do they have the video? Yes, we do. So let's watch. After we watch a fucking commercial. Thanks, Glenn Beck! Shop in store or online, pick up curbside or ship to home. Every holiday starts at Dick's.
We've got this new doorbell camera video of the suspect. What does this video show? What else have we learned about his criminal record?
Well, Craig, what this video appears to show is just about 20 minutes after this incident at the Christmas parade. You can see Darryl Brooks knocking on the door of a homeowner saying that he needs him to call an Uber and that he's homeless. Now, NBC News has talked to this homeowner who says he had no idea of this incident that had happened at this Christmas parade. He ends up allowing Brooks to come inside his home. He even makes the guy a sandwich. But then this homeowner says he noticed that there was a lot of police officers in his neighborhood. He got nervous and asked Brooks to leave. He did. And then moments later, you see on that doorbell video camera the moments that police encounter Brooks telling him to put his hands up. But as you said, this guy has an extensive criminal background history going back decades. Just earlier this month, for example, he was arrested for a domestic dispute where, according to court documents, he rolled over the mother of his child. She had a tire mark on her leg. He was able to post bond of $1,000 and get out. That's something that the district attorney here says was very low. But yeah, you fast forward to Sunday and you're talking about 5 people dead, nearly 50 people injured. Of them, 18 are children, many fighting for their lives. 10 of those kids in the ICU, 6 in critical condition. And this is a broken community right now, mourning the loss of those lives lost, as well as these children that are fighting for their lives right now, Craig. Neighborhood. He got nervous and asked Brooks to leave. He did. And then moments later, you see on that doorbell video camera the moments that police encounter Brooks telling him to put his hands up. But as you said, this guy has an extensive criminal background history going back decades. Just earlier this month, for example, he was arrested for a domestic dispute where, according to court documents, he rolled over the mother of his child. She had a tire mark on her leg. He was able to...
Yeah, they were coming in hot for that one, like, in a hurry. So, and I can't imagine why. But that's what we see off of that. Alright, what else do we have? Yes, the Daily Beast. The grand intelligence of the Daily Beast. How big-time right-wing trolls Andy Ngo and Tim Pool tied the Waukesha killings to Black Lives Matter. To which Tim Pool's tech producer, Grateful Patch Lids, Sour Patch Lids, said, "Hey, I found this for you, journalists." Give me just a sec. Let's listen.
I don't know. Now, we'll have to wait and see, because they do have somebody in custody. We may have to wait and see what they say about why this happened. But it sounds like possible that the revolution has started in Wisconsin, starting with this Christmas parade. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's something I'm missing, but I said I wasn't going to speak on the rumors. Y'all are repeating some of the stuff that, that has come up. And, I did tell you that the initial person who reached out to me said that they believe that this has to do with the verdict. And so I made an assumption of which side it would be from, but I don't know. Sounds like somebody, multiple people. I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm not going to repeat it or speak.
I'm not going to repeat it, but let me repeat it one more time. Yeah, it doesn't sound like there's any regret. And I don't know if he did this in connection with the Rittenhouse verdict. The timing of it is suspect. The fact that they went over one of the most neocon and whitest areas in Wisconsin, in the Milwaukee metro, is a little bit suspect, but I can't tell you if this is the reason that we're doing this or not. I can't tell you if this is the reason that this happened. It's just really, really suspect to me. So that's what we have going off of that, and that's what we see. More news. Another take on the Daily Beast. How Andy Ngo and Tim Pool tied the Waukesha killings to BLM. Oh, I know the answer to that one without clicking. They screenshotted his Facebook post and played his anti-white pro-BLM videos. The end. Seems easy enough, right? It's literally all over the guy's Facebook page. BLM, kill whitey, fuck the police. Police! He made sure to spell it so we know that that's what it is. But there again, I don't know if that's actually the cause of it or not. From Denver Channel 7, bail set at $5 million for suspect in deadly Wisconsin parade crash. And, you know, it's been pointed out on numerous other places, so I'm just going to point it out again. They're very much trying to downplay this. I mean, it does appear, especially given the fact that he veered to try to get to get the most damage out of this, that he veered for that this was some sort of terroristic attack. He was at least trying to send some sort of message off of it, is what it appears, just from the route that he took in the parade route. But the media is trying to downplay this. Deadly parade crash. Let's have the conversation about Charlottesville, if that's what we want to talk about. Because from everything that I've heard, that guy was actually running away. And again, I don't know if that's true because I haven't seen the video of a guy chasing after him with a bike lock, but that's what's been told to me, is that there was a guy chasing him with a bike lock and got in his car and was trying to run away. Cannot confirm. From Scripps National, a Wisconsin judge set bail at $5 million for Darrell Brooks Jr. He is accused of driving his vehicle through a parade route in Waukesha, Wisconsin, killing and injuring numerous people. Brooks Jr. is charged with intentional homicide for the deaths of 5 people. However, more charges are likely. The state revealed Tuesday that another victim died. Scripps station TMJ4 report confirmed the victim is 8-year-old Jackson Sparks. More than 60 people were injured on Sunday. Several are still in critical condition. The Associated Press reports that witnesses told people the vehicle Brooks Jr. was driving appeared to be intentionally moving side to side, and he didn't slow down when it struck people. Brooks Jr. faces a mandatory life sentence if he's convicted on a first-degree intentional homicide charge. He has a lengthy criminal history. Court records show that on November 2nd, the mother of Brooks Jr.'s child reported that he had punched her in the face while he was at a gas station in Milwaukee. After Brooks Jr. allegedly struck her, the criminal complaint alleges Brooks Jr. ran over the woman with his maroon SUV. She was taken to the hospital and treated for her injuries, where officers observed tire tracks on her left pants leg. Brooks Jr. was arrested but released from jail on a $1,000 bond. In November 11th, the local DA had asked for a $1,000 bail, despite Brooks Jr. being out on bail over a July 2020 gun charge. During a fight, Brooks Jr. allegedly fired a gun at his nephew as his nephew was leaving the confrontation. Yes, charming fellow this Brooks Jr. guy is, but $5 million. And the Minnesota Freedom Fund is working tirelessly to get that up there because, hey, he's on our side. All right, from the New York Post. Waukesha DA admitted progressive reforms would mean someone would get killed. It's guaranteed. From Emily Crane. The DA, facing criticism after the alleged Waukesha Christmas parade crash killer was freed on bond 2 days before the carnage, previously admitted his progressive reforms guaranteed killers could be put back on the street. Milwaukee County DA John Chisholm, who was elected to his position in 2007, has spent his career supporting cash bail system reform because he argues it criminalizes poverty. In an interview with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel the year he was elected, Chisholm said, "Is there going to be an individual I divert or put into a treatment program who's going to go out and kill somebody? You bet, guaranteed. It's guaranteed to happen. It does not invalidate the overall approach." Okay, it might be time to go throw some cuffs on Chisholm. Chisholm has long pushed to divert nonviolent offenders away from the prison system with alternate programs and has spoken previously about reducing the number of incarcerations in Milwaukee County. He describes himself on his website as a bold reformer with a track record of keeping our community safe and has taken credit for inspiring a wave of progressive persecutors across the U.S. Progressive persecutions in Philadelphia, Boston, St. Louis, and San Francisco have followed in John's footsteps and designed similar programs, his website says. Chisholm has come under fire for admitting on Monday that Darrell Brooks, the man charged with mowing down 5 people in Waukesha, had been released on inappropriately low bail following an arrest earlier this month. He vowed to investigate how Brooks was given the $1,000 cash bond, despite allegedly running the mother of his child over with his vehicle in a Milwaukee gas station parking lot on November 2nd. I mean, does he have a mirror? Because he can hold up the mirror and say, "You! It was you!" Ron, if I remember Wisconsin law correctly, we can't do remand in Wisconsin. There has to be some sort of bail. It can be to the discretion of the court as to how high it is, but they do have to offer a way for somebody to get out of jail, as far as I remember Wisconsin law. Now, that might not be correct, but the way that I understand it, that's how they're supposed to do. And yes, it can be aggressively high, as it is in this situation, but I do believe they have to offer it. The state's bail recommendation in this case was inappropriately low in light of the nature of the recent charges on the pending charges against Mr. Brooke, Chisholm's office said in a statement. The bail recommendation on this case is not consistent with the approach of the Milwaukee County DA's office toward matters involving violent crime, nor was it consistent with the risk assessment of the defendant prior to setting a bail. So, you, Mr. Chisholm, spend your career trying to get bail lowered to get more people out of holding cells, and then you try to dodge the bullet when something bad happens. You can fuck yourself. But that's what we have from that. From The Blaze. But CNN said Waukesha Police Chief dismantles narrative that rampage suspect was in a police chase that led to the ramming of parade goers. From Sarah Taylor. The Waukesha Police Chief shot down reports and suggestions that the parade suspect, Darrell E. Brooks, was fleeing from police when he rammed revelers during Sunday night's Christmas parade, and that it appears Brooks intentionally ran them down with intent to inflict carnage. Several news outlets, including CNN and The Washington Post, Where Democracy Goes to Die in Darkness, suggest that Brooks, who has a decades-long criminal rap sheet including arrests for drugs, battery, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, and more, didn't mean to run into a parade that may have accidentally killed at least 5 people and injured dozens more while trying to flee from police. Authorities charged Brooks with 5 counts of intentional homicide in connection with the attack. Further charges may come as police continue to investigate. In a Monday statement on the horrific attack, the Waukesha Police Chief, Daniel Thompson, responded to such reports saying, "I want to dispel some rumors. There was no police pursuit that led up to this incident." He added, The Waukesha Police Department website is the only source for information. Do not release information from any other source as it has not been vetted and could lead to false information. Earlier this week, CNN's S.E. Cub tweeted, breaking CNN reports Waukesha driver who plowed into parade was fleeing from another crime scene, not an act of terrorism or retaliation. Minutes later, CNN Breaking News tweeted, there are indications the person held in the deadly Wisconsin parade incident was fleeing from another scene, sources say. Wall Street Journal editor Anthony DeRosa added, a law enforcement official said that one possibility that authorities are examining in the Waukesha is whether the driver was fleeing from the scene of a crime. The official said there had been an earlier altercation involving a knife. The Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness, soon piled on with a story of its own. And in reporting, quoted an unnamed law enforcement official who insisted the suspect's intent of ramming and running over adults, children, and the elderly was a desperate bid to escape the police. ABC News added, investigators are looking into whether the SUV driver, who plowed through a Christmas parade in suburban Milwaukee, killing at least 5 people and injuring more than 40, was fleeing a crime, a law enforcement official told the Associated Press. Twitter user Polly Carr summed up much of the internet's ire with one cleverly worded tweet, but CNN said. Carr's jab accompanied digital strategist Greg Price's tweet, which included a video snippet of Thompson's remarks. Price captioned the video, Waukesha police say Darrell Brooks intentionally drove his maroon SUV through barricades into a crowd of people at a Christmas parade. 5 dead, 48 injured. Let's watch.
Provide an update. At 4:39 p.m. on Sunday, November 21st, of 2021, a lone subject intentionally drove his maroon SUV through barricades into a crowd of people that was celebrating the Waukesha Christmas parade, which resulted in killing 5 individuals and injuring 48 additional individuals. I just received information that 2 of the 48 are children and they're in critical condition. We have information that the suspect prior to the incident was involved in a domestic disturbance, which was just minutes prior, and the suspect left that scene just prior to our arrival to that domestic disturbance. When the suspect was driving through into the crowd, one officer did discharge his firearm and fired shots at the suspect to stop the threat, but due to the amount of people, had to stop and fire did not fire any other additional shots. The officer is on administrative leave as part of department protocol. No one was injured as a result of the officer firing discharging his fire weapon.
Which is goddamn lucky, by the way, because if you're shooting into a crowd, I mean, look what happens when Rittenhouse shot into a crowd of progressive BLM protesters. I mean, if you're shooting into a crowd, there's a chance you might hit a woman beater, a criminal felon, and a kitty diddler. Too soon? But no, and it seems, well, we all saw this happen in real time, too, where they came out immediately to try to say, oh, well, he was just running from the cops, there was nothing bad. They are trying desperately to whitewash this guy, to make it look like there was nothing bad going on here, that he had no intent to hurt anybody. But man, just seeing that sweep around to try and get as many people as possible, I can't. I can't. All right, let's shift gears here. Let's talk Rittenhouse, shall we?
Big news on.
Let's starting with Stephen Colbert, because he is such a repository for information. Let's see what he has to say here.
Big news on Friday was that after being accused of crossing state lines, killing 2 people, and wounding another last year during a Black Lives Matter protest, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted on all counts. Okay. Yeah, okay, cards on the table. I'm not a legal expert, so I can't tell you whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse broke the law. But I can tell you this, if he didn't break the law, we should change the law. Big news on Friday.
Clapter and Seals in the audience. What should we change the law to? You've got to be within inches of your life after getting beaten the fuck to death before you fire a shot. You have to let the assailant take the gun and shoot you before you fire back. I mean, what do you want to change the law to, Mr. Man, who has 24/7 armed fucking security? Fuck off. And the audience just fucking eating this up. Or. From Fox News, following up on this, Stephen Colbert mourns Kyle Rittenhouse acquittal. We should change the law. From Brandon Gillespie. Left-wing shill, I'm not going to say that word with him. Stephen Colbert on Monday expressed his disappointment in the conclusion to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, imploring that Wisconsin self-defense laws be changed. Fuck you, you don't live here. You don't get to make that decision. You don't vote here. But immediately after that, hundreds, because I don't think he has an audience of thousands, hundreds of Stephen Colbert, Wisconsin resident people, came out and said, "Dear Mr. Congressperson, self-defense laws are mean. Please change them." Rittenhouse, who was charged with 5 felony counts stemming from the shooting deaths of Anthony Hoover, Joseph Rosenbaum, as well as non-fatal shooting of Gage Grosskreutz, was found not guilty on all counts on Friday. During the monologue portion of his nightly program, The Late Show Colbert addressed the verdict, which his audience booed. Because of course they did. The big news on Friday was that after being accused of crossing state lines, So, today, I'm going to my dad's, which is up towards Minnesota. And usually, when I come home from my dad's, the first thing I do is I hop on Redacted and take it over to Redacted, and then get on the interstate and come home. But because of where that's positioned, I can take Redacted over to Redacted and take Redacted down through Minnesota instead. But I might cross state lines! Oh my god! Cards on the table. I'm not a legal expert, so I can't tell you whether or not Kyle broke the law, but I can tell you this. If he didn't break the law, we should change the law, he added, to cheers from the audience. Seal Clapter. Wisconsin law allows someone to use deadly force only if necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm, which the jury found to be true in the Rittenhouse case. Colbert joins a throng of other left-wing personalities who've aired their disapproval of Rittenhouse's proved innocence, including The View's Whoopi Goldberg, who said Monday that she believed the now 18-year-old committed murder despite the not guilty verdict. So that's what we see coming off of that. Oh, we've got a Facebook user over here. We're talking about Rittenhouse right now. Join in. Join the conversation. The red-haired bobblehead gets to weigh in on this too, from ABC News Politics. White House Press Secretary Psaki asked if President Biden would apologize to Rittenhouse for previous comments. Campaign video after acquittal. The worst part about this is that progressives over on Twitter legitimately believe that she slapped him around. We watched Jen Psaki slap Peter Doocy around. Well, I'm going to present the video to you, and you decide whether she slapped him around.
Would the president ever apologize to the acquitted Kenosha shooter Kyle Rittenhouse for suggesting online and on TV that he is a white supremacist?
Well, let's be clear what we're talking about here. This is about a campaign video released last year that used President Trump's own words during a debate as he refused to condemn white supremacists and militia groups. And President Trump, as we know from history, and as many of you covered, didn't just refuse to condemn militia groups on the debate stage, he actively encouraged them throughout his presidency. So, what we've seen are the tragic consequences of that. When people think it's okay to take the law into their own hands instead of allowing law enforcement to do its job. And the president believes in condemning hatred, division, and violence. That's exactly what was done in that video.
But if you're saying that it was just a campaign video, it wasn't. The president also gave an interview where he said this Rittenhouse was part of a militia coming out of Illinois. Have you ever heard this president referring to Trump say one negative thing about white supremacists? These are all things, none of this was proven in the trial. And Kyle Rittenhouse is saying that the president had actual malice in defaming his character. Is that what happened here?
The president spoke to the verdict last week. He has obviously condemned the hatred and division and violence we've seen around the country by groups like the Proud Boys and groups that that individual has posed in photos with. But beyond that, I'll leave it to his comments around the verdict.
So, this is doubling down, and, well, let's go ahead and let's add this to the fire and the mountain of evidence for the very, very good lawyers that are taking care of the defamation lawsuits. I don't know if Biden can be sued personally in his official capacity as the president. I know the comments were made before he was the president, so that may change the way that this goes or the way that we see this, but I know that's true. But what I can look at, what I can see off of this is, once again, you're making it harder for somebody to live a life. This kid just wants to go out and live a life. You're making it harder. You're denying him opportunities for jobs, colleges, dates. That's all financial damage that's going to be done to this kid. So, I guess we're not going to get an apology, according to the red-haired bobblehead. Friend of the show, Brit Tweets by Brit, quote tweeted this particular video and said, "This is the same president that just murdered 10 innocent people in Kabul for no reason, correct?" Boom. Mic drop. Yeah, did he actually apologize to them too? I guarantee he didn't. It's a tragedy what happened over there, but hey, look, I was successful in getting everyone out of Afghanistan. Mr. President, there are 1,000 people still over there. I said everyone, goddammit! Mark Richards went on one-on-one with the less intelligent Cuomo. Let's listen to what that sounded like.
What I want to know is, as his counsel, how did you feel about what your client said and the context of which it came out tonight?
Well, I watched a little bit of it. I think it was his feelings, the way he felt treated by the system, maybe his two first lawyers, and those types of things. I think he acquitted himself well. I think he is well spoken for an 18-year-old. He knows what this is about.
And in terms of what this is about, are you comfortable with the prosecution against him being couched by his interviewer and by proxy, by Kyle, because he's sitting there across from the guy, that this was about politics, this was about the media wanting to get him, this was about a mob mentality? Do you really believe that his arrest and the prosecution was exclusively a function of politics?
Nothing is exclusively a function of politics, but there was definitely, I think politics played a huge factor in the rush to judgment in this case and not doing a thorough investigation before first-degree murder charges were put on paper. I mean, he was arrested less than 6.5 hours after this happened on murder charges. They hadn't even found all the evidence. They hadn't done the interviews. And they never, once they got all the evidence, they never went back and looked at it. They just went forward. And I think it's pretty clear when the boss of that office was just a ghost throughout this trial and all these proceedings. You never saw him. He didn't want his hands anywhere near this because I think in the long run, he knew it was going to blow up.
Now, there was a lot said tonight about the first legal team. And just to make sure, anybody who was listening to the interview tonight or reads about it, Kyle Rittenhouse was not talking about the guy on the show right now, okay? He's talking about his original legal team, specifically a man named Lin Wood. Now, what I thought was a little confusing tonight, Mark, and I want your take on this, is that why is Lin Wood a bad guy? He's a bad guy because of how he handled this case and because he is certainly one who co-opted Kyle Rittenhouse for political ambitions, no?
Yes. And, you know, I've been threatened with a lawsuit for what I said on your show on Friday night. I stand by what I said. It's my opinion. They were using Kyle to raise money. John Pierce and Lin Wood. John Pierce, and I'll say this because it's the truth and we have the bills to back it up, was billing this kid at $1,200 an hour for going out and buying a shirt for him, for taking his family to breakfast or lunch. It's ridiculous. And, you know, there might be some attorney somewhere on the earth that's worth $1,200 an hour. It's not John Pierce.
Oh,
one of
So that's what we hear off of that. And I mean, I don't know what was going through Kyle's head at the time. It does look like he was down there looking to do medical. Now, I went down there during the day to report. Now, keep in mind, I'm 37 years old, so I'm 20 years older than Kyle is. But even at the time, in the midst of it, going to report during the day, I was told by my mother to arm up, to make sure that I was careful and well armed when I went down there. During the day, and I had no intention to be there after dark. And I never was there after dark. Because I had to come home that Monday and do the Red Net show, and then I had to get home at some point the next day and make sure that I was up and ready to do Contemporary the next morning. There was no way I was going to be there after dark for any of this stuff, but still, for somebody to be going down there after dark to administer medical aid, to be friendly, to be a friendly cause in all this, of course he's going to go down there armed up. I believe that he was right-wing, but I don't think he was crazy militia right-wing. I thought he was just a kid who happened to like Trump, was probably a little bit of an edgelord at the time. 4 doors, more whores. But legitimately wanted to go down and help. That's everything that I've seen from the video and the evidence that's brought forward to me. But I wasn't in his head. Coming on to the other side of this, they're trying to cite the race war off of this. I'm sick of all this shit. Cushbay112 tweets out, standing your ground while black, charged with murder and no bail, college kid with no criminal record, but screenshotting, not quote tweeting out an article for African American News, and I don't know what outlet this is coming from. Black man charged with murder for defending himself from white racists who attacked him. From Obiwuru Igbo. A little bit of the snippet that comes with this. The 21-year-old college student named William Marcus Wilson has been charged and jailed after fatally shooting a truckload of hostile, angry racists who tried to run him off the road. The confrontation took place in the town of Statesboro in Georgia. The white racists were said to have chased down William while also shouting racial slurs at him and his, and that's where it cuts off of there, but okay. We're going to talk just a little bit about what the difference is. First off, he's been charged with murder and remanded. I don't know anything about his criminal history to wonder why he was remanded, but keep in mind, Rittenhouse had no criminal history and was offered bail of $2 million, which I would consider to be absolutely fucking excessive. Number 2, Mr. Williams has not been tried by a jury of his peers. And if every detail on this little snippet is correct, including the Confederate flags and the Mississippi flag and the back of the truck, then he's probably going to stand in front of a jury of his peers and most likely get acquitted. Get a lawyer. Get a good lawyer. Don't get fucking Ben Crump, who gets paid just for appearing with you. But get a lawyer, get a good lawyer, and have your day in court. Go have your day in court. As far as the bail, that is between you and the state of Georgia. I cannot speak to that because I don't know Georgia law. But, yes, sit in court. Tell the judge what happened. It looks like some internet sleuths have already went out and looked at this and see what this is. Of course, the other ones are out here. Stand your ground laws do not apply to black people, full stop. No, they do. Get a lawyer. But that's what I guess we'll figure out off of that. We'll let the internet sleuths do that, but that's my big thing right now off of this. I don't know what happened, because I wasn't there. I haven't been following this trial. We have internet sleuths to do that, but go and have your day in court. He is not convicted. From the Daily Wire, liquor company asks consumers not to buy its Rittenhouse Rye brand to celebrate Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. Cry more, assholes. From Megan Basham. In an odd marketing move, whiskey and bourbon distiller and distributor Heaven Hill posted a statement to its official Twitter account Sunday asking people who are buying its Rittenhouse branded rye not to purchase the drink if they intend to use it to cheer the verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. On Friday, after days of deliberation over evidence that included extensive video footage of a jury, found teen Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty for the shooting deaths of 2 men and wounding of a third during a riot in Kenosha last year. To celebrate what they view as a just outcome, some whiskey lovers began purchasing bottles of Rittenhouse Rye. The brand name is derived not from the recent court cases, but from Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia, an open space park designed by William Penn and named for an early 19th century papermaker. Whiskey Raiders, a trade publication for the spirits industry, first reported the news Monday, saying, "A quick search reveals a great number of tweets regarding celebrating the verdict with Heaven's Hill Rye. Bartender, give me a Rittenhouse Rye on the rocks and make it a double. Justice has been served," wrote one user. Heaven Hill evidently wasn't happy about the free advertising, tweeting, "We have been disheartened to learn that some individuals and businesses have been using our Rittenhouse straight rye whiskey to celebrate the Kyle Rittenhouse case verdict despite the profound loss of life from those events." And this is their statement. So, go find out what is distilled and distributed by Heaven Hill and stop buying it. Use what you already have in your liquor cabinet. Because if you just pour it down the drain, they've already got the money. But never ever buy anything from Heaven Hill again. Let's actually see what Heaven Hill distributes. Date of birth. All right, here we are, Heaven Hill. Admiral Nelson's. Never buy another bottle of Admiral Nelson's. Anzac Cognac. Bernheim Official. Black Velvet. These are the people that don't want you to celebrate justice being served and a jury finding what I consider to be the right verdict. Let's see, Blackheart, Burnett's Vodka, Burnett's Gin, Leanne or Carolyn's Irish Cream, Christian Brothers Brandy, Cinerator, Copa de Oro, Coronet, Deep Betty Vodka, Domaine de Canton French Ginger Liquor, Dubouchette Liquors and Cordials, Dubonnet Aperitifs, Elijah Craig Bourbon, Evan Williams. I might have a bottle of that, actually. Never Again. Fighting Cock Bourbon, Fulton's Harvest Cream Liquor, Georgia Moon Corn Whiskey, Henry McKenna Single Barrel, Hypnotic, which I don't think anybody watching this is going to be drinking because we're not 14 fucking years old, swiping shit out of the mom's liquor cabinet anymore. Irish Mist Liquor, Larceny Bourbon, Lonazul Tequilas, Mellow Corn Whiskey, Old Fitzgerald Bourbon, Pomegranate Liquor, Parker's Heritage Collection, Pikesville Straight Rye Whiskey, Rittenhouse Straight Rye Whiskey, Sacred Bond, and Two Fingers Tequila. So these people don't want you to use their brand to celebrate what you consider to be right. So here are all kinds of different things that you don't need to use to celebrate at this point. There's the whole page. And I'm actually going to save that so we can get that tweeted out to make sure that nobody makes the mistake of using this brand to celebrate. I mean, we would hate to go against their wishes, wouldn't we? We would hate to do that. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you hate to go against their wishes and use their brand to celebrate? I would hate to do that. Alright, let's shift gears here. Let's talk about Pat Burke for just a second. I'm introducing a bill that allows insurance providers to deny coverage for COVID-related treatment to those who refuse to be vaccinated. Do your part or pay your own way. Freedom isn't free. Well, I'm sure that the insurance companies who want to get as many people on and don't want to be liable for a wrongful death will look at this and say, hey, okay, that's cool, we can do this. I thought healthcare was a human right, but yeah, you can pound sand, fucker. The ACA tells us we have to cover everybody. From WIVB4 out of Buffalo, Assemblyman Patrick Burke explains controversial new bill he's proposing on Twitter. Assemblyman Patrick Burke proposed a new bill on Tuesday, and it's going viral on social media. He wrote on Twitter, I'm introducing a bill that allows insurance providers to deny coverage for COVID-related treatment to those who refuse to be vaccinated. The tweet has received hundreds of retweets and thousands of comments. Burke joined News 4 on Zoom on Tuesday to talk about the proposal. So are we going to see him off of here? Apparently not. Let me get a refresh off of this and see if this shows him. Because it looks like it's just been autoplaying. Yep. Let's listen to some of this, shall we? Oops, wrong YouTube tab.
Social media. He wrote on Twitter, I'm introducing a bill that allows insurance providers to deny coverage for COVID-related treatment to those who refuse to be vaccinated. This tweet has received hundreds of retweets and thousands of comments. So Assemblyman Burke is joining us now via Zoom tonight to talk about his proposal. Thank you for being with us. And why are you introducing this bill?
Good evening, Jackie. So there's many reasons, but obviously if we just go through the track record of what's happened and how this has affected all of our lives. So over the last 2 years, hundreds of thousands of Americans, millions of people across the world, over $4 trillion in taxpayer dollars have been spent. And it's been tragic and terrible, and it continues to be tragic and terrible. And we go to the next step. We develop a vaccine that is safe and effective and can be used to stamp out COVID. And not enough people are utilizing that. It's free. That is free healthcare is the vaccine.
It's not free, by the way. You don't see the invoice, but the government does.
Provided by the government. It is safe and effective. If not enough people take advantage of that, it overwhelms our healthcare system, and it affects our insurance pools. It affects all of us, and we continue down this nightmare cycle until we get to the point where everyone is vaccinated. Because we also know that unvaccinated people are essentially incubators for COVID variants, and we're seeing it rage across the world, these different variants that are negatively affecting different countries and different communities, how the Delta variant has affected us, and we're going to keep going through this
Assemblyman,
until we get people vaccinated.
having said all that, a lot of people on social media do not like your proposal. Some are calling it evil or cruel. Others say it could set a bad precedent for insurance providers, opening up a Pandora's box here. So what is your response to all these criticisms?
Sure. So social media and Twitter is not necessarily real. If you actually look at most of the accounts, it is clearly part of, a bot operation.
Oh my God!
Don't have followers.
Oh, he said it. He said bot. Oh. And people are piling on me, and it's just bots. That person is real. I know. I've interviewed him. Let's see, who else is on here that's a bot? That person is real. I know one person in the audience has met this person. I don't remember who, but I know one person has had a picture taken with this person. Let's see, what else? I know Rebel with a Cause was on here at some point here. I've interviewed him. I know he's real. Britt is on here. There's a possibility I might hang out with Britt in the near future. She's real. She's human. Oh, these bots. Oh, there's a person running for Congress. For you, the kid that fell in the chocolate in Willy Wonka's house. It's a bot campaign.
Most of them don't have real names. They don't even have the real picture on there. So a lot of that is manufactured. And then it goes into just an ecosystem within social media that is in the right-wing sphere that is being shared with. So people like me, when we're making points about the dangerousness of COVID or even what a certain political group's role is in helping spread that and spread misinformation on that. So I don't take that seriously. When you go to the polling, it is overwhelmingly in favor of vaccines and taking the necessary steps to ensure that public health is protected. So,
but Assemblyman, there are other human behaviors that can lead to medical problems.
Okay, that's enough of listening to this cocksucker. Are you the kid that fell? Yeah, he does actually look like that too. Augustus Gloop. So here's the thing with this. And this is exactly what they told us would never happen if we had federalized, socialized healthcare. Well, the government is never going to use. The government is never going to use. They're never going to use the power of healthcare to enforce a political will. You will never get denied healthcare for not going along with a political ideology. I present you Pat Burke's tweet. After I scroll back up after going through the comments. I'm introducing a bill that allows insurance providers to deny health care for people who don't go along with my instructions. Oh, don't worry. If we have socialized health care, you'll never have to worry because everybody will be covered. We'll never use it to enforce anything. Right there! It's right in front of you. And Defiant Elves comes back out with this as well. How it started. How friggin' tragic that a little girl has to sell lemonade to pay for her brain surgery. This isn't a feel-good story, it's a story of national shame. Every American should have the right to quality health care. How it's going. I'm introducing a bill that allows insurance providers to deny coverage for COVID-related treatment to those who refuse to get vaccinated. Do your part or pay your own way. Freedom isn't free. Slow clap. Leftist politician inadvertently pushes legislation that undermines ACA. Thank you, Randy. I might have to tweet that later. I think I've already quote tweeted this dude once. We'll make that decision later on. Fort Walton Beach man pleads guilty to a scheme to defraud millions from the Gates family. From WJHG Newsroom. Funny, this didn't get picked up by CNN. A Fort Walton Beach man pleaded guilty to a scheme to attempt to defraud the Gates family, a political powerhouse in Florida, out of $25 million in exchange for a presidential pardon. Stephen M. Alpert pled guilty Monday to one count of wire fraud related to his attempt to illegally obtain $25 million from Don Gates, a former president of the Florida Senate and the father of Rep. Matt Gates. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Florida said Alford tried to bribe the Gates family in exchange for a presidential pardon. This is while Rep. Gates is allegedly in the middle of a high-profile federal sex trafficking investigation. According to a news release from the office of Jason Arcudi, acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Florida, the scheme involved a series of meetings and text messages exchanges between Alford and the victim, as well as undercover recordings arranged by the FBI. During the exchanges, Alford repeatedly promised the victim that Alford had access to the current president of the United States. Alford faces up to 20 years imprisonment, to be followed by a term of supervised release. This case resulted from an investigation by the FBI. Assistant U.S. States Attorneys David L. Goldberg and Lazaro P. Fields are persecuting the case. Sentencing in this case is currently set for February 16th, 2022 at 9 a.m. at the U.S. Courthouse in Pensacola before the Honorable U.S. District Judge Casey Rogers. So, we've got a guy who's already pleaded guilty to trying to defraud the Gates family while he's in the middle of defending his innocence over whether or not he trafficked a minor. I'd call that reasonable doubt, wouldn't you? From CNN, Biden hopes to announce decision to release oil from Strategic Petroleum Reserve but needs an agreement from other nations. From Jeff Zeleny, Caitlin Collins, Natasha Bertrand, and Matt Egan. President Biden hopes to announce his decision to release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve on Tuesday during a speech at the White House. Officials tell CNN, but the timing of such a move is still contingent on other nations finalizing their agreements. The U.S. has asked China, India, Japan, and South Korea to join a coordinated effort to release the reserves for crude oil. The Biden admin hopes such a move would help combat soaring gasoline prices and fears of inflation, or at least show the president is focusing on addressing what has become one of his steepest political challenges. If successful, such an agreement could help keep a lid on gasoline prices heading into the holiday travel season and relieve some of the political pressure, at least in the short term, that the White House has been feeling over the energy crunch, which officials believe is directly linked to inflation. Two officials say a final U.S. decision hasn't been made simply because it intended to be coordinated with other nations in what would be a unique effort, but they hope it will be finalized late Monday evening. When asked about a possible decision, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that she didn't want to get ahead of any process. She's very good at getting ahead of progress. So, looking in at this, what it appears to be is they're going to release about 50 million gallons of oil, or barrels of oil rather, from the Strategic Reserve, which is about 2 days worth of American consumption. But we're also going into a busy holiday season, so this might be closer to 1 day of average consumption. Interestingly enough. And as we look at this, I mean, is it going to be enough? Is this going to be too little too late? What are we seeing here? What are we actually seeing coming out of this? Because I don't think we're seeing jack shit. Not to mention, if there does happen to be a federal emergency where we need to mobilize military, we need to have these oil reserves, which is what they're there for. Guess whose oil is getting taken away? The consumer! Oh, well, we don't have oil reserves to tap. Hey, let's just take your oil. Hey, you like $7 a gallon gas? You fuckers? Well, you complained and you made us go and open up the oil reserve, so now you get to suffer. Where you could just turn the valve, turn the pipeline back on. And this wouldn't be solved because we're going into another energy crisis around the rest of the world because OPEC is being assholes. But it will at least take some of the pressure off. And just a reminder, I know a lot of the MAGA people say that we're not even using any of this oil because you turned the pipeline off. We're not doing any U.S. oil. No, we are getting U.S. oil. But it's coming down the ice road. It's coming down through Canada to get here. Which means that it's got to, I mean, you've got your fuel costs, you've got your driver costs, you've got time. You can only transport so much by truck. You can transport a lot more by pipeline. You know, you've got the time to go with there. You've taken that extra link into this. There's so many other aspects to this. If there's snow across the track, if there's snow across the road, we're still getting the oil from the head of the pipeline from the beginning. It's just not coming through the pipeline. But hey, go turn that pipeline back on and see how much easier this goes. We're not going to see the 94 cents like we saw last year. We're not going to see that anymore. But wouldn't you like to see 212 again? 215, 220, something like that? Wouldn't that be easier on you? Mayor Pete! From his ivory tower. Let's listen to Mayor Pete. Oh, my butthole hurts! Oh wait, that's not him. That's me paraphrasing him.
Yeah, we're very excited to begin work on the EV charging network that the president envisions, 500,000 chargers across the country, to make sure that in big, wide open spaces out west that you know that you can get a charge where you need one on a long trip, and in urban areas that are underserved, where people don't live in detached houses where you can just plug the car into your wall of your garage, that they have equitable access to. In fact, if you think about it, the two kinds of drivers who stand to benefit the most from electric vehicles are rural drivers who drive those long distances and burn a lot of gas, and lower income drivers in urban areas who would benefit the most from those fuel savings. Yeah, we're very excited to.
The rural people who want to go out and start up the truck and make sure that it starts, because this is still very new technology, in case they've got to take somebody to the hospital because it takes forever for the ambulance to get out there and then get back out. And the urban areas, the low-income drivers in urban areas, who probably can't afford a brand new vehicle right now. How do you address that, Mayor Pete? I think electric vehicles are cool. I think that we are going to move to a point where we're going to have a mixed amount of vehicles, and it's going to be, at some point, 50-50 between petroleum-powered vehicles and electric vehicles. Because there are still going to be people who stick by the petroleum-powered vehicles. I would own an electric vehicle. And this is coming from somebody who rattles windows every time he leaves his house because of the exhaust pipe on my truck. I think electric vehicles are cool. You get your full field of torque right away. There's plenty of power with it. And it opens up a new modding community where people can once again mod their cars and try to make them faster. But A, you've got the equipment that runs on the diesel that they use to go get the rare earth minerals. We haven't figured out how to get this in an industrial setting yet. It's coming, don't get me wrong, but you've got that. You've got all the steel that's got to get forged to make the vehicles, the heavy equipment, everything you're turning over to electrical, the batteries, the circuitry. There's so much else that goes into this. This is not the be-all, end-all. It's going to end emissions. As much as they're trying to push this, as much as they're trying to force this. But once again, these lower income drivers in urban areas that can't afford a new vehicle. Let me tell you about the lower income drivers in urban areas. Just an aside, to tell you how this goes in the areas that he's trying to pander to at this point. I was going down 14th Avenue one day in Kenosha, in a relatively not good neighborhood, and as I turned the corner, I saw a Crown Victoria, former police Crown Victoria, because it was in that State Patrol blue, so I know it was a former police Crown Victoria. And I noticed the headlights were kind of looking up. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on with this thing here, but they're kind of tilted just a little bit up. Maybe he broke back springs, maybe he's got bags and they're not airing up in the back, because they do that kind of stuff. But I could see that he had the massive wheels coming out of the front. I'm like, yeah, so he's got these big rims, he's probably got hydraulics, so he's got the front raised up, but there's something wrong with the back hydraulics, so he's just kind of dragging on the back, and that's probably what this is. And it was a later model Crown Vic. It wasn't like an 80s Crown Vic or something. It was probably 2000, 2001, 2002 Crown Vic. So still it had that smooth body style like the State Patrol cars. And I actually got alongside the car and realized why it was leaning up so much, because he had a pair of 24-inch rims on the front and his regular 16-inch Steelies with standard tires on the back. These are the drivers you're trying to service with all these electric vehicles right now, Mayor Pete. Good luck and God fucking speed. Let's keep going. Biden's test drive of an electric Hummer helped increase reservations, GM says, from Michael Wayland. Hey, look, man. Hey, it can drive itself. I'm an ancient fucker and I can still drive this thing. President Biden's visit last week to a General Motors plant that's introducing the GMC Hummer electric pickup caused a notable increase in reservations for the truck, the automaker said on Tuesday. Oh yeah, I'm sure the government went out and bought all of them. Duncan Aldred, global head of the GMC, said reservations for the vehicle increased sevenfold compared to the holiday average as traffic in the brand's website increased about 230%. He said the event led to this month being the highest amount of reservations for the Hummer, including an SUV version outside of when the vehicles were separately debuted. It just shows the customer intrigue and interest and willingness to buy remains super high, Aldred told reporters during a briefing on Tuesday, until they go out and find out how much it actually costs them a month to buy a $120,000 vehicle. Aldred declined to disclose a specific number of reservations, of course he did, which require a $100 refundable deposit. He said the automaker has more than 125,000 hand raisers that have requested information about the vehicle on its website. He expects to convert most of those into buyers. Biden's visit Wednesday included a tour of the factory as well as the commander-in-chief zooming around the truck, in the truck with GM CEO Mary Barra outside the plant. Biden also made several supportive comments promoting the vehicle during the speech at the facility, including calling it one hell of a vehicle. Aldred on Tuesday confirmed GM plans to begin delivering roughly a $113,000 Special Edition 1 version of the vehicle by mid-December. That timeframe would mean the Detroit automaker achieved deliveries of the new flagship truck on time from when it was unveiled in October of 2020. $113,000. Yes, Mayor Pete, these are the people who are going to be going out and buying your truck. Low-income urban people are going to go out and buy a $113,000 electric vehicle. Fuck you! You're just making the rich get richer at this point. It really culminates on what has been an amazing journey of 2 years. It's the fastest program GM has ever done. Aldrich said, not only is that a monumental effort, but considering this isn't any vehicle, it's the world's first super truck. That's pretty amazing. That is not the world's first super truck. The overcammed 95 F-150 that I had in 2008, that, yes, did shred transmissions, and we needed to do something about the transmission, but I got broke and sold it instead. That was a super truck. This is a status symbol. Let's talk more about Biden in Michigan. Some more Ducey stuff from the red-haired bobblehead. Let's listen.
A couple days ago, President Biden was in Michigan, and he was thanking Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib for the passport into her district. Now she is supporting legislation that would release all federal prisoners within 10 years. Would the president ever support that?
Well, the president did enjoy visiting Michigan and visiting Congresswoman Tlaib's district. But let me be absolutely clear. The president does not support abolishing prisons. He does not support defunding the police. He thinks measures like that will make us less safe, and he would not support legislation that includes it. What he does support is effective and accountable community policing and a fair justice system, and he supports investment in public.
Wait, he supports community policing? Like, I don't know, this kind of community policing? Fuck, no, not that kind!
Public health, education, the environment, housing, community-based programs. But he knows there are steps, and he believes there are steps that we know are going to reduce crime and make our neighborhoods safer, but that is not one of them in his view.
A couple days ago, President Biden was in Michigan.
So that's what we see off of that. Yeah, I don't see Biden as being the kind of person who would want to abolish the criminal justice system. He's making too goddamn much money off of it. And he can go back and use that to imprison his political enemies. Let's keep going. We got just a few more here, and then thing I like, thing I hate. But we've got to take a second here and go back and see our friends over at NPR, National Progressive Radio. Families of Parkland shooting victims settle a lawsuit with DOJ for about $130 million. And I hope that they will use some of that money to donate back to NPR, National Progressive Radio, because remember, families of Parkland shooting victims, it's not your money, it's our money. And we need to continue to tell the world that guns are bad. And only the government should have them so they can make sure that you pay your taxes and pay your money. So it can go to NPR. It's not your money, comrade, it's our money. NPR, National Progressive Radio. Let's see what they have to say. Families of more than a dozen victims of the 2018 school shooting in Parkland, Florida, have reached a settlement with the Justice Department to resolve their lawsuit over the FBI's failure to act on tips about the gunman. In a joint court filing on Monday, attorneys for the families and the department say they've reached an agreement to settle all the claims in the case. The document does not include financial figures, but a person familiar with the talks says it totals around $130 million. The shooting took place on February 14th, 2018, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where Nicholas Cruz opened fire, killing 17 people and wounding at least 17 more. In their lawsuit, the families of the accused, the FBI of negligence, fair. They say the Bureau received tips about Cruz, including amassing of weapons and his desire to shoot up a school, but agents failed to intervene and prevent the violence. Fair. Weeks before the shooting, a tipster told the FBI that Cruz was going to explode and that he was going to slip into a school and start shooting the place up. Well, I'm going to go out on the road and say fair as well. Although no resolution could ever restore what Parkland families lost, the settlement marks an important step towards justice. Christina Infante, the lead attorney for the family, said in a statement. So, with that, we're all on the hook for $130 million and nothing is going to happen about the FBI. They're not going to get a reprimand. Nobody's going to get fired. Nobody's going to lose their job. But hey, we're all on the hook for $130 million. And they're going to be fully funded too, because they've got MAGA people to go after. Some vaccine news for you. U.S. government asks court to immediately lift stay on COVID vaccine rule. God fucking speed. From Tom Halls. The U.S. government asked the Federal Appeals Court to immediately lift a court-ordered stay on a sweeping workplace COVID vaccine rule to avoid an enormous harm to public health or alternatively to allow a masking and testing requirement, according to a court filing. Delaying the rule by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. I always thought that OSHA stood for the Oh Shit Administration. Because you say oh shit at work and they show up. That requires employees to be vaccinated or tested weekly would lead to thousands of hospitalizations and deaths, the government said in a Tuesday filing with the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. The administration of President Biden, a Democrat, has issued several rules aimed at encouraging vaccination, although OSHA's November 5th standard is the most far-reaching. The OSHA rule requires businesses with at least 100 employees, covering tens of millions of American workers, to comply by January 14th. Comply or die! Well, good luck, because the 6th Circuit led their argument with saying it's unconstitutional. So, good luck. Hope you get sued. Speaking of vaccines, thank you Arvolt for this one, which came into the Discord. And we'll use this one because I don't have to go back and archive Business Insider for it. U.S. to require truckers crossing U.S. border to be fully vaccinated starting in January. You have no idea. Wow. You have no idea what this is going to entail. You do not have the manpower for this. From Grace K. of the Associated Press. President Biden will require all truckers who cross the U.S. land borders to be fully vaccinated by January 22nd. They crossed state lines! The administration planned to announce on Tuesday. The mandate will apply to all essential, non-resident travelers crossing U.S. land borders, including government and emergency response vehicles. The decision comes at a time that the U.S. is facing major supply snags, including a shortage of truck drivers. The American Trucking Association warned earlier this month that vaccine mandates for truckers could worsen the supply chain crisis. The U.S. is already facing an unprecedented supply chain disruption and delays due to many factors, including significant labor shortages, production shutdowns, and a shortage of raw materials and pent-up consumer demand. The ATA sent a letter to the administration in October. Our data shows that a vaccine mandate may very well further cripple the supply chain throughout the country by forcing up to 13% of drivers to leave the industry entirely, the group added. Oh, and they're also making it harder to get a CDL. The senior administration official said the new requirement, which the White House previewed in October, brings the rules for essential travelers in line with those that took effect earlier this month for leisure travelers when the U.S. reopened its borders to fully vaccinated individuals. So I want to look just into this because they're suggesting right now that this is for Canada and Mexico. But the article suggests that they're doing this for state lines, which... Okay, so this is going to be for U.S. borders, it looks like. Which is a little bit different. Not much, but a little bit different. Because this does have to do with customs, and you have to go along with the laws of the other country, which in Canada means hold you down with a knee on the neck and push the vaccine into your arm. Don't worry, it's only a chokehold. Essential travelers entering by ferry will also be required to be fully vaccinated by the same date, the official said. The official spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity to preview the announcement. Which, I mean, that's fine, too, and I know that there's already been talk about doing this on a state level. Look, if you start doing this on a state level, you've got a major situation with this. Because there is no way to patrol every state border, every crossing into the state border. Hell, I can get around the fucking tollway by going a mile to the west, rather. But that's what we see from that. We might get through everything. We'll be close. I know Ignoramus isn't streaming today. Jury holds pharmacies responsible for role in Trumbull County opioid crisis. This came to me also in the Discord from Golden Leaf, friend of the show, from John Sewer. CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart pharmacies recklessly distributed massive amounts of pain pills in 2 Ohio counties, a federal jury said Tuesday, in a verdict that could set the tone for U.S. city and county governments that want to hold pharmacies accountable for their roles in the opioid crisis. Lake and Trumbull counties blamed the 3 chain pharmacies for not stopping the flood of pills that caused hundreds of overdose deaths and cost each of the 2 counties about $1 billion, their attorney said. How much the pharmacies must pay in damages will be decided in the spring by a federal judge, so expect your prescriptions to go up. Because not only are they dealing with a rash of retail theft at Walgreens in California, but now they have to go back and pay this out in Ohio. In spite of the fact that they looked at the prescription and said, okay, the doctor said this is safe. Here you go. It was the first time a pharmacy companies have completed a trial to defend themselves in a drug crisis that has killed 500,000 Americans over the past 2 decades. The counties were able to convince the jury that the pharmacies played an outsized role in creating the public nuisance in the way it dispensed pain medication into their communities. The law requires pharmacies to be diligent in dealing drugs. This case should be a wake-up call that failure will not be accepted, said Mark Lanier, an attorney for the counties. Okay, what about all the doctors that prescribe these things? Are we talking to them? Or do they donate enough that we don't have to go and look at them? From ABC, Kellogg's to replace some striking workers after talks stall. From Josh Funk, Kellogg's plans to start hiring permanent replacements for some of its 1,400 striking cereal plant workers after negotiations broke down again. The Battle Creek, Michigan-based company said it failed to reach an agreement with the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union on Monday, so it is moving forward with its plan to keep its plants operating with salaried employees and outside workers. The Kellogg's workers have been on strike since October 5th, and they will have to continue picketing through Thanksgiving because the negotiations aren't scheduled to resume until the week of December 6th. We recognize the hardship that its prolonged strike represents for our employees. What about your customers? The company said in a statement, after 15 negotiation sessions in 2021 and no proposals to put membership for a vote, we are left with no choice but to serve the short and long-term interests of our consumers by moving to the next phase of our contingency plans. The Kellogg Company said the plan includes continuing to use temporary workers to operate their plants and in some cases hiring permanent replacements for striking workers. The union and the company are struggling to reach an agreement over how to address the two-tiered system of wages Kellogg uses to give newer workers less pay and fewer benefits. The company said it proposed a plan for workers to move up to the higher legacy pay level after about 4 years of experience, but the union hasn't been satisfied with what the company offered. Well, if it's not enough for your new employees, then they should be looking for work elsewhere, because literally everybody is hiring still. I know the Biden admin fluffs up the numbers to try to make this look really good for them, but no, literally everybody is still hiring right now. So another one that hit the Discord here from another viewer. We're doing definitely a viewer day-to-day here. Man who was mistakenly locked up in a state psychiatric hospital for 2 years files federal lawsuit. From Lynn Kawano. A man who spent 2 years in a Hawaii state hospital because of mistaken identity, despite repeatedly insisting that authorities had the wrong man, has filed a federal lawsuit against multiple government agencies. Josh Spreesterbach's attorneys claim Honolulu police officers, deputy, public defenders, doctors at the psychiatric hospital in Kaneohe, and the state's Department of Public Safety violated his civil rights. Other allegations in the complaint include false imprisonment, medical malpractice, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They point to a series of alleged missteps that not only allow Spreesterbach to get wrongfully arrested, but then keep him confined despite evidence to support his mistaken identity claim. Spreesterbach's saga began in May of 2017. I mean, how many Spreesterbachs are there really out there? He was homeless at the time and fell asleep on the sidewalk outside a homeless center. A Honolulu police officer arrested him and booked him for crimes committed by another man, Thomas Castleberry, a convicted drug user, car thief, and burglar who was on probation and had an outstanding warrant. Spreesterbach was fingerprinted and his mugshot was taken. But it appears no one seemed to notice Spreesterbach's prints didn't match with Castleberry. Yes, our wonderful government at work. I mean, accidents do happen, but you also get to sue when accidents happen. So good on this guy. Go take him out. Alright, I got just a couple more, then we're going to watch a couple of videos, see a meme in a video, and then we'll do Thing I Like and Thing That I Hate. So, from The Blaze. Women's March Group apologizes for the triggering use of the number 1492 in an email report. From Carlos Garcia. Yes, it's not 1488, it's 1492. From Carlos Garcia, an anti-Trump political organization apologized for using the number 1492 in an email report without recognizing the historically traumatic effect of the number. Wow. This is almost pull the headphones off level of wow. The Women's March account apologized for the inclusion of the number in an email reporting what their average donations had been. Unfortunately, for those who received the email, the number is also the year that Christopher Columbus is believed to have landed in the New World. The official account of the Women's March posted the apology on Tuesday. Do you wonder why anybody takes these people fucking seriously? We apologize deeply for the email that was sent today. $14.92 was our average donation amount this week, the account tweeted. It was an oversight on our part not to make the connection to a year of colonization, conquest, and genocide for indigenous people. Especially before Thanksgiving, they added. According to Mediaite, the email asked receivers to donate $14.92 with the email title 1492. Critics of the organization immediately jumped on the apology to mock Women's March and their supporters. This is perhaps the most hypocritical virtue signaling I've ever seen. No, we got to do that in the voice, because that's who that is. This is perhaps the most hypocritical virtue signaling tweet I have ever seen, and that's really saying something, replied Dr. Jordan Peterson. Keeping all of your email recipients in mind at this difficult time, tweeted Federalist editor Emily Jashinsky. Let's all chip in and raise the amount $17.76, and then they'll really lose their minds, joked Fox News contributor Ari Fleischer. Wokeness has moved past policing language to quasi-mystical numerology, replied Washington Post columnist Megan McArdle. Irony is dead! Happy Thanksgiving! Responded Ted Cruz, who also used the occasion to raise funds for his political campaign because he's Ted fucking Cruz. I want to know what would happen if somebody donated $14.88 to this charity. In fact, I might. I know I'm a little bit strapped right now because of the holiday season and the fact I just had to put brakes on my truck, but I might. There is a good possibility that I will be going in there and donating $14.88. Just to see what they say. Alright, last one for news, then we'll do some funny stuff. San Francisco to limit car access to Union Square after Louis Vuitton theft. Cars will be restricted in San Francisco's Union Square after a shocking incident of retail theft on Friday night. The San Francisco Police Department said in a statement that it responded to reports of possible looting and vandalism at several retail establishments, including Louis Vuitton. Starting at 8:10 p.m., additional officers were called to the scene to address the reports of crime. The alleged thieves smashed windows, leaving piles of shattered glass across the sidewalk of the store that's adjacent to the Macy's department store. Burberry, Bloomingdale's, and Yves Saint Laurent, among other retailers, were also targeted, police said.
Caught in 4K. Motherfuckers caught in 4K. He's got 2 masks.
He got 2 masks, bruh. He went that way.
Elaine. These motherfuckers ain't playing. Yup. Looking good.
Just make sure they don't fucking shoot him, dude.
Was that worth it? Was that worth it?
Pero aquí había uno también, mira.
So, the answer is not to go back and address why there's the theft. The answer is to just limit car access. Good job, San Francisco. Alright. I found this one funny. Think you might be wrong, by the way. Who apparently looks like Nick Carter. Dan Crenshaw. We must support the only democracy in the Middle East. They're our greatest ally. I actually thought that was Dan Crenshaw at first. I can't tell the difference. Think you might be wrong. He's right behind me, isn't he? And this is insane. So you've already seen the start of this, but we're going to back it up to the beginning. All right. So just at a traffic stop, guy walking across legally in a crosswalk. There comes speeding car, clubbed by minivan. I don't know if, like from that, I don't know if homie got hit at the outside because he was out of the frame. It looks like he might have been far enough away that he could have ducked away, but man, that looks like that was close. And there comes the crossover with the other SUV just sitting on the hood. And there's the guy that was just walking across the street. just calmly walking back across the street. Let's watch that again. It was the crossover on the hood of the other crossover that got me. Just kind of sitting there. That's the one that got me. It's terrible, and I hope that everybody was okay after this. It looks like all these vehicles are fairly newer model, which means that they have 25 billion safety features in there, so it's likely that everybody walked away from this okay. But I mean, 3 feet away from getting hit by this thing for the guy who had the dash cam on. 3 feet away from taking a GMC in the front of your car. Alright, let's do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate and get out of here for the day. Alright, thing that I like today. Most of you guys probably heard the new intro, or the temporary intro that we did for the RedNet show this past Monday night. But we have a series of songs that were written in the name of Kyle Rittenhouse. And I love this artistic, the artistic side of this, where people are coming up and doing something off of this. So I'm not going to do the whole song because we are running up on the clock, but I'm going to use my favorite one off of this, the one that we used for the RedNet show the other night. Gunfighter Ballads, the Kenosha Kid. And we're going to listen to just a little bit of this.
In the town of old Kenosha marched some troubled rogues one day. Held hammers high above their heads and looking for a fray. No one dared to ask their business, no one dared to make a din, save for one young man among them with an AR on a sling. AR on a sling. In this town there were some outlaws bound to teachings of the red. Many soy boys were among them, as were trannies overfed. They were vicious, prone to violence, burning gas stations and more. And the leader rode a skateboard, rolling swiftly on the floor. Swiftly on the floor.
Just brings back so many Fallout New Vegas memories. That's a great song, too. I mean, the original song is a great song, but that is a great song. And then, of course, the Ballad of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Come all you friends and neighbors, the story I will tell concerning Kyle Rittenhouse and the criminals that he killed, and the criminals that he killed. While in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in sorrow and in strife, a gang of thugs flew up on him. They tried to take his life. They tried to take his life.
I want to learn how to play the banjo, by the way, which means that I need to also, on top of getting a new laptop and getting the website started, need to raise money to go buy a banjo. Dude, that is so awesome, though. I put the link for this particular page in the chat here. There are a bunch of different songs that go along with this. There's one, looks like, for Jump Kick Man. I haven't listened to that one yet. Another one of the, well, a couple more Big Iron ones, Wisconsin edition. This video is age restricted and only available on YouTube. So there's some age restricted ones too that we can't see right now. So, yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Now let's do a thing that I hate. Archived from the Wall Street Journal. Meet a Jew program aims to tackle rising anti-Semitism in Germany. Yeah, this can only end one way. This can only end one way. But let's read on. Let's see. Let's give it a chance. Let's read on and see what they have to say about this. From Ian Lovett. Sana Kisilis and Karina Markbain sat at the front of a classroom surrounded by 24 young adults arranged in a semicircle. For many of them, the two women were the first Jews they had ever met. When you hear the word Jew in Germany, many people think of the Holocaust, Ms. Kisilis said after a meeting at a museum in a former Berlin synagogue. Our project is about giving Jews a face. If you expected me to stay on YouTube after this, well, I'll see you all on DLive. Nearly 8 decades after the Holocaust, Mrs. Kisilis and Mark Bain are part of a movement that are trying to normalize Jewishness in Germany. Their effort is called Meet a Jew. Founded last year, the program sent pairs of Jewish volunteers to speak to non-Jewish groups, schools, classes, soccer teams, interns at the foreign ministry. The goal is to help fill what many Jews here see as a gap in Germany's remembrance. While German schools teach extensively about the Holocaust, Jews today say they're still not fully accepted in the German society. Many say this kind of remembrance is very much focused on the past, does little to address their current conditions. Germans are very willing to put this very heavy weight on their shoulders. Like, we have this dark stain on our history, said Miss Kisilis, 27 years old. But everything about Jews is centered on that, instead of addressing a problem for Jews today. The Jewish population here remains so small, at around 120,000 people, it is roughly a quarter of what it was before World War II, and less than 0.2% of the overall population, that many Germans have never even met a Jewish person, or don't know that they have. I don't know, Germany, if this is such a big deal, why don't you make some sort of identifier for them on the outside of their clothing? Maybe be yellow. In a 6-pointed shape of some sort. What would they do to make it so that people know if they've met a Jew or not in Germany? This can only end one way, folks. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? I mean, I am all for people meeting with other cultures, but this is just a way. This moves way too closely to the same kind of stuff that led up to the unfortunate events that happened in 1942 in Germany and beyond. This is way too close and way too focused on one particular group of people. And I don't see this ending well. I see this ending very, 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 very badly. I see this ending very badly. Well, they didn't bring the Asians in to do it, Randy. That's why the math doesn't add up. If we're going full hog on YouTube, we might as fucking well just say it. Well, subscribe to the backup channel. We'll see you next time on YouTube, because I would not be surprised if I don't have a YouTube channel by 5 o'clock this afternoon. Anyway, with that, I think we're going to head out of here. Thing that I like and thing that I hate. Maybe a t-shirt, just maybe a little pin that they can put on the outside of their shirt. With some, I don't know, some letters in Yiddish. Yeah, this can only end one way. They could do the Shapiro and wear the tiny little hat walking around, then they would know. Okay, gang, I mean, when I go into certain places, though, I have to wear another hat over top of my tiny little hat because, okay, I might get pushed back and something might happen here. So I still have to wear the little hat, and it's because I'm Orthodox. I'm an Orthodox Jew, so that's what happens. But we're the most victimized people in all of history, okay? Okay? And my wife's a doctor. I don't know. Before we get completely shut down on YouTube, let's head out of here for the day. Where's my outro music? There it is. So, this is the last time on YouTube, apparently. Well, we'll see you guys next time on many of the other platforms. I will be back here tomorrow morning. Maybe not on YouTube anymore. And we'll do something a little bit lighter, a little bit better, especially since I'm not going to have all the technology. I'm not going to have the main microphone. I did test the webcam microphone. That works well enough. You'll be able to hear what I'm saying. So we'll be back here for that. We'll do some calls. We'll listen and see what you guys have to say. Well, I want to hear what you guys are thankful for. So if you guys do want to call in, join the Discord, because you're going to need to do that to get in on the call. And think of something you're really thankful for. I don't want to do news. I don't want to do Arbery. I don't want to do Rittenhouse or anything else. I just want to hear what you guys are thankful for, unless there's something major breaking coming in here. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll look at what the Dow was for today on the last day of trading, and we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, see us back here Friday for the regular show and the regular headlines once again, and all the chat in the live chat as well. And we will be back here for that, and we will see you then. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.